Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing great. I'm going to be doing another film review this afternoon. Now this is again a French horror film. I've got so many in my collection. I'm going to try and do them all. But yeah, this one's another French horror. It was made in 2007, directed by Julian Laurie and Alexander Bastillo. Now, before I saw this film, I used to think films like Hostel and Hostel 2 were really, really hardcore, sort of extreme stuff. I saw this film before Martyrs, so it was this film that really got me introduced to the more extreme side of the more extreme side of horror cinema, and it kind of really revived my hope for the genre that I love. So anyway, yeah, I used to think Hostel was really hardcore, so you can imagine the surprise I got when I saw this film, Inside. Now, this film opens up with a baby inside a womb. We can see it, it's CGI, and there's a voiceover, which is obviously the mother, and she's saying, my beautiful baby, nothing will ever take it away from me. And then you can hear some tyres screeching, and then a collision with two cars. And so you see the baby hits its head and some blood comes out. And then we cut away to a car crash scene. Two cars have collided and it's a really messy situation. There's a woman in one of the cars in the driver's seat. She's the main character, Sarah, played by Alison Paredes, sister to Vanessa Paredes, who's the wife of Johnny Depp. So she's in the driver's side. She's pregnant and she's been hurt really bad. She's covered in blood. And she looks across to the passenger side seat and sees her husband. He's dead. He's passed away from his injuries. And so then we cut to 4 months later. And she's on the brink of birth. She's going to have an induced labour on Christmas Day, and it's Christmas Eve. So she's got one day to go. And there are riots in France from the presidential elections. So there's a lot of unrest on the streets, which kind of makes everyone feel on edge. And so she's a photographer. Sarah works as a photographer, and her boss um, comes along and asks her what she's doing for Christmas Eve, and her mother also asks her that. And they're all worried about it because she's really depressed because of the events 4 months earlier. And she doesn't want any company. Although everyone is inviting her for Christmas Eve sort of dinner, she doesn't want anything to do with it. She just wants to spend time alone. So she goes back home and thinks that she's going to spend her last peaceful night. She's having a dream in the middle of the night, and it's a really bizarre dream, and then she's woken up by a knock on the door. So she goes and asks who it is. She doesn't open the door, she just asks who it is. And it's this woman who wants to use her phone because her car has she has problems with her car, and she doesn't want to walk around too much because of the riots going on. And so Sarah says, I'm sorry, my husband's asleep, I don't want to wake him, so you're going to have to look elsewhere. And this woman says, no, your husband's dead, so I know you're lying. And so Sarah's wondering how the hell she knows so much about her. And then this woman starts getting agitated. She starts banging on the door saying, let me in, let me in. She knows her name and everything. And so she refuses and says she's going to call the police. And then this woman comes over to the window and she's kind of taunting her a bit. And then she punches it and cracks the window. And this is where Sarah calls the police. The police come and she tells them about what's happened. They search the surrounding area of the house. They think she's gone. So they tell her not to worry, and to put her mind at rest, they're going to send a patrol out in the middle of the night to check up on her. And yeah, and they just wish her a happy New Year's Eve. And what they don't know is that the woman was always inside the house. So that's where the film pretty much takes off. And this woman turns out to be a complete psychopath, and she wants the baby, the unborn baby. And you can see on the back what method she'll use to get that baby. Nice little instrument here to remove the baby. So at first we're thinking that this woman just targeted Sarah for no apparent reason, but then the plot sort of thickens, develops, and you get to know the full story. Uh, yeah, as I said, this is the first extreme sort of film I saw, so you can imagine the kind of shock I got when I saw this one. This is very, very graphic. Um, Insane, very fast paced. Only goes for 80 odd minutes. Get the uncut version. It's not worth. I actually haven't seen a rated version. I think it only exists in the United States. I could be wrong, but yeah, definitely get the unrated one, because the way I feel about rated films is that, if you're not going to get the unrated version, you may as well not have it at all. So yeah, this one is a very nasty film. It's a lot different from Martyrs. I think Martyrs had more depth, but this one still has depth. It's not just a, it's not just a slasher kind of gory splatterfest. It actually, especially at the end, it had a really kind of emotional feel to it. The direction was absolutely superb. It's a very dark film. It's a very sort of morbid, depressing atmosphere, as a lot of French horror films are. The acting, Alison Paredes playing the pregnant woman, outstanding job. But who steals the show is the woman, the psychopath, played by Patrice Daly. She was absolutely fantastic. One of the best villains in horror, in my opinion. She did an outstanding job. She kind of had the presence of someone who wasn't human. She had no sort of conscience. She was very cold, absolutely ruthless in the way she dispatches her victims, and she had the appearance as of someone just come out of a painting or something. She just had that really supernatural kind of feel to her, even though she wasn't supernatural. But just the way she was dressed. She was dressed in this black dress, which made her look really mysterious. She had a very intimidating presence. She isn't overly huge. Like, she's thin, but she has a very sort of muscular sort of features to her body. And yeah, she really does look the part for a psychopath, and she does a fantastic job with this. And there are hints throughout the film that, maybe this woman has a different side to her. But for the most part, she's just a complete psychopath who will stop at nothing to get that baby from Sarah. So it's a very freaky sort of film. What makes it stand out from your average kind of film like this is the fact it does have suspense. There are really good camera angles used in this film, especially one where we see her behind Sarah looking at her through the shadows, and her face slowly comes back and disappears into the shadows. You see the film and you'll know what I'm talking about with that scene. I thought it was superbly done. Really, really creepy. So it had good suspense, and the level of violence was so graphic that that in itself made it disturbing as well, and made it more scary. That we actually get to see each blow that this woman is inflicting upon her victims. So yeah, this is definitely one I'm going to recommend. Different from Martyrs. This is a lot more bloodthirsty than Martyrs, but yeah, this one, it's hard to separate Martyrs and this film. I love them both. Highly recommended this one. And yeah, if you can stomach the more extreme sort of stuff. But Julian Maury and Alexander Bastillo, this is just proof that France are light years ahead of anyone else in the horror world. Spain are very good, but no one does like the French, and that's why I love it so much. So, highly recommend this film. Go out there and see it. It's inside. Just be prepared for some really intense violence, though. Alright, guys, hope that review was helpful, and I'll see you later. Bye.